You're listening to the FYI podcast where we talk about faith, life, adulting, relationships, finances. Really, this podcast is for young adults, college students,
Hmm.
people in their teens, 20s, 30s who are on the adventure of following Christ and asking the question, what does it mean to be a Christian
Hmm.
in 2023? We're your hosts. I'm Josiah Canale.
And I'm Micah Canale. And one of our fun goals is we want you to end every week strong and begin every weekend stronger. So we just want to be answering the questions that you are submitting, that you are up against, that you're wrestling through, that you are just curious about. So thank you for letting us glimpse into your life and letting us speak into that. But we always want to point you to the Word of God, to Christ. And along the way, we just get to share some of our adventures, some of our stories, some of our encounters, more or less. And I just want to encourage you today, if you have breath in your lungs, God is not done with you yet. So there is something that God has on the horizon for you, whether you are a college student looking for that first job or you are 18 years old looking for that college. I don't know, but God does. And when you put your future in his hands, it will be a fun, wild ride. So trust the process, believe that he has amazing plans for you, experience those amazing plans, and just hang on for that ride, man.
And Micah mentioned this, new episodes drop weekly. Every Friday, we are about 70 some episodes in. So a year and a
Mhm.
quarter or so into the journey of the FYI podcast.
Mhm.
Today's question, and by the way, we consider it a gift when you subscribe, share, and leave us a rating wherever you're watching or listening to this
Mhm.
podcast. And I'll go off script. Hey,
Mm.
what's your favorite summer coffee? Like if you have your
Mm.
headphones in and you're driving, commuting, or doing yard work and listening to a podcast, what's your go-to beverage of choice?
I think it's a nitro cold brew with a splash of cream. Not too much
There
cream,
you have it.
but just enough. What is your favorite drink?
Pumpkin spice lattes.
In the middle of summer, you can't even find
They don't
those.
have. So I settle for a caramel latte. I will. My hydration sequence every
Oh.
morning is 2 cups of coffee, then some LaCroix or sparkling water, then water the rest of the day. And disciplined or boring, whatever you choose.
I'm a
So
person of change. He's a creature of habit.
it is.
The
It's
house is
true.
always changing. He doesn't, but the house does.
I'm a
Things around
simple
him
man.
move.
Simple man.
It's a
Love
form of
adventure.
adventure,
I love adventure though.
a treasure hunt every
It
day.
is. It is for my own phone, keys, and wallet.
No, no, no. Those two things I don't touch anymore. 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 That doesn't mean the girls don't.
Podcast host emphasis added from Micah.
Oh my
He
gosh.
emphasized it. If
Too
he didn't
funny.
emphasize it though, I would have. But Howard sent us a DM of this question. Howard, we love you and thanks for
Oh, yeah.
listening and sharing this message with your young adult ministry and so many. But Howard asked us, how do you remain in everyday life and live out a calling for wild adventure? I thought this was a podcast worthy question because if I'm honest, right out the gate, I struggle with this. I mean, who doesn't love being on cloud nine? Cloud nine to me is exhilarating.
To me, cloud nine is exhausting.
I love cloud nine. I love
And I'm
um
talking like experience, like, oh, everything is so good. I'm
I
like, okay,
love
I
it.
can't only stay there. I'm mentally exhausted.
Let's live there.
I can't live there, but
And
opposites attract people. I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm not
we're
like a
good
little
for each other.
little
We
gray cloud
no,
either.
we balance each other out in a variety of ways. But if I'm honest, a part of me is very drawn to exciting things.
Hmm.
But the reality is not every day is a special event. And there's both
Hmm.
the wild adventure, there's the mission trip moments that's
Hmm.
10 days overseas or a trip or a conference or a camp or a convention. And those things are great. We try to squeeze all the zest out of
Hmm.
those and soak up like a sponge all that life has to offer.
Hmm.
But the reality is there's daily living too.
Hmm.
And this is a message for daily life.
Hmm.
Um, a favorite quote of mine is John Wooden, the most winning college basketball coach of all time, coached the UCLA Bruins basketball team. And John Wooden, he said to make every day your masterpiece.
Hmm.
So that's what we're going to be aiming at. And talking about, and admittedly for me, it's challenging at times to be present in this moment. I'm a visionary, I'm futuristic. So it's easy for me to ask the question, what then? What then? What then? What next? What now? And so, two things that I've learned in my struggle of the challenge of being present in this moment is number one, you could even do this probably safely where you're at listening or watching, but have both of your feet on the ground. Even in this conversation, I've made it a habit when I'm across the table doing mentoring with a cup of coffee, or if I'm preaching or anywhere I'm at, I'm doing a podcast right now, my 2 feet are on the ground. And I notice I'm different when I have my legs crossed but 2 feet touching the ground and it's just my socks right now. That helps me be present fully right now. It's just a simple discipline or behavior, but it reminds me that I'm here. So if you ever met a person and it's like they're out to lunch, you're like, get your head in the game. Hey, have both feet on the ground. It'll help you be present. The second thing is put your phone away. Like, we're recording this podcast, I'm not scrolling social media. My phone's put away. And it's so easy to scroll our lives, aimlessly wander the rabbit hole, the time.
We don't want to be in the
bandit.
wilderness, right?
Yeah.
On our wild adventure.
So put your phone away. Those things will practically help you. But we're talking about how do you remain in everyday life and live out a calling for wild adventures. And Micah, you're invited to this conversation. You're very adventurous.
Oh man. I think for Howard's question, I would say for the listener, if you desire this, you are serving the right God because he is a God of adventure. And with that, I think also for you, when you understand who you are and whose you are through the word of God and through who he says you are, you will understand more of who you are created to be.
That's good.
And I say that to set this next part up, and that is you yourself need to define wild adventure. For some, it's like, oh, I went to Taco Bell at midnight. It's a wild adventure tonight. And other people, it's like, we're going backpacking through the back trails on the West Coast. And I don't know if we're going to survive. Like, that's adventure. So I think even like when you understand who you are and whose you are in the process of your spiritual gifts, like what makes you come alive, I think is what you discover in your DNA, in your hardwiring, how you were created. So some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, some people like plan A, like they're type A, they have to have everything planned out. B, you're just like, I'm going to go with the flow, whatever happens, happens. So I think when you define your personal, what does wild adventure mean to you? Maybe it's getting some friends together and going to the Flash, a new movie. Maybe it is sitting in the backyard having a barbecue. Maybe it's getting in a car and not taking any form of map or plan with you. And you're going to get in the car for 4 days and just drive in a direction and see what happens. So when you understand your skill sets and your DNA, you'll be able to define wild adventure. Now, you say everyday living, there may feel a little bit, oh, it's just a mundane Monday. We're here in the studio. How can I make it more fun? Like, even for instance, we talk about finances on this show. I used to hate talking about finances. There was just something I'm like, I know how much money I have in the bank, could care less, like, whatever. Josiah is this like type A in this department. Okay, I'm like, all right, now that we're married, if we're going to make this a fun conversation, then I'm going to get to pick the coffee shop and I'm going to pick the brunch or the food or the coffee that's going to make it fun for me to talk about finances, which is fun to you because I desire to grow in this area, but there needs to be a fun factor for me. Otherwise, I'm tuned out, I'm turned off and like, bleh. So really just understanding when you really want to talk about wild adventure, I just wrote down 3 things that I think we should take into consideration. But Josiah, do you want to add anything before I unpack 3 things that I
Oh gosh,
had?
I can't wait to hear the 3 things. Go for it. I'll have my thoughts after.
Okay, here's what I'm going to talk about this.
I'm seriously pumped to hear these 3 things.
In a wild adventure, I think number 1 is you should desire divine delays. And I will share a divine delay is something that's unplanned. It's something that pops out of nowhere. It's something that's maybe initially inconvenient.
For sure.
But it seems to have the capacity to build the biggest and greatest memories. Oh my gosh, the girls got in the car and we went on a road trip to Alaska and we drove and we did not have a plan. True story. I got in a car with two of my friends after graduating, after 4 years of school. Only one of the four of us or three of us was in a relationship. We drove for 5 days, 10 to 12 hours a day, all the way to Alaska from Bismarck, North Dakota. Adventure. There was moose. There was everything and all things you could possibly think of. I could just sit here for days and share all the things. That is a form of adventure, right? The divine delays along the way are what make it fun. Oh, we had to pull over for gas. We almost ran over for gas. We almost got ran off the road. Oh, the bears are out, so we can't go to the bathroom by ourselves or alone in the dark because we might not come back. Like really taking into consideration the delays of not necessarily life, but whatever adventure you're in. Oh, we got a flat tire, divine delay. Oh, Josiah and I are now married. We took a trip. We went to Passion in 2019.
In DC.
No kids, or in DC. And we got stormed in for 2 extra nights. He's trying to figure out every way to possibly get home. And one of our friends is like, I think the Lord is giving you 2 more days away from work just to enjoy each other and the weather. Because Michael loves snow. You're trying to figure this out and you're taking the fun out of it for her. So order some pizzas and experience the divine delay.
It was like the airport was shut down.
Oh, not even
for 2 days. Like, and then we're not the only flight at an airport that's shut. You're going to be stuck for a couple of days. And our buddy knew I was stressed out. And I'm just thinking about back to the money piece, like, oh man, we hit our budget for this trip. And now we're going to have to pay for 2 extra nights of a hotel. And the only delivery you could get was a local pizza place. And I'm pretty sure they would come like twice a day and make all the hotel deliveries because we weren't the only people stuck.
We started ordering like 2 at a time.
Yep. And so we
knew we had food.
We'll get 2 pizzas today. And then the next day we got 2 pizzas. Oh my gosh. But Micah's point, we had a deck of cards, or maybe we bought them at the gift shop of the hotel. We made memories. And you have to embrace divine delays.
Yeah.
So good.
Or if you're a parent, it's the diaper blowout on your way down the highway. You're like, this is not fun. And you can't help but laugh. So
it's type 2 fun. It's the type of thing that it's you
fun.
You laugh later about it. But if
in the moment, you're probably like stressed and oh my gosh, you're building memories. Like those are the fun things.
And if you don't embrace divine delays, you'll miss out on moments and you'll be miserable in the process.
Yeah. Because you'll take yourself way too seriously. The second thing I would encourage, maybe you don't have a budget and maybe a trip isn't a thing or an adventure, whatever. I wrote down, always have a goal or something on the calendar. Amazing. I'm talking like a weekly gathering with friends, a fire, a Bible study. Maybe you go and you watch football or baseball or the fights or Buffalo Wild Wings and you get some wings and hang out at a table until midnight. Like if you could still do that. Maybe you're studying for finals, or maybe you're trying to discover who you are and you just want to, whatever, like always have a goal or something on your calendar because it gives you something to look forward to and brings a sense of adventure because, okay, you can plan all you want, but how many of you know when you plan something to the T and never happens that way? You can have every detail of your wedding planned. And the rule I had was like, if anything goes wrong, fix it and don't tell me later when we can laugh at it. If it's something major, like just do it, So just always have something on your calendar with somebody or something that you find enjoyment in or something you want to try something new. Maybe you need to go rock climbing. I've never been rock climbing before. Let's go to fill in the blank. So the third thing, go ahead.
Can I add a comment?
Yeah.
Something to look forward to because like it could be, just to give you a few practical examples, Micah had mentioned it could be going to a movie. June 30th, we happen to know that Indiana Jones is coming out or, whatever your kind of cup of tea or coffee is and getting together with a friend. This is how to enjoy something 3 times.
Oh, tell me.
Do you want to know how to enjoy something 3 times? Is first of all, you're looking forward to it, so you prepare. Second of all, you live it, so you live it, and then third, you reflect on it, you journal it. And so it's like if you're looking forward to a live play on Broadway, you looked forward to it and it brought you joy. You planned it. You bought those tickets. You planned the vacation. Then you lived it and you took the pictures and you made the memories, had the experience.
That's good.
Then afterwards, you have stories to tell. You have photos to share. You can reflect on it and you have those memories that can last a lifetime. But that's how you enjoy something 3 times.
I love it.
And I'll give you an example. At the end of this month, as we record, I have a 3-day event that I'm going to. And the group text just came in. I think there's 46 people a part of it. I found out some people are going to be at this event, didn't even know we're going to be there. It's amazing. So I'm planning, and I do this anytime I go to a conference. I learned this from our friend Justin Lathrop.
Mhm.
Who are the people there at this event or this conference? Who do I need to know?
Yeah.
Or who, okay, I'm going to Atlanta. Who's in Atlanta that I could quick grab a bite to eat? I could
Right.
fly in an extra hour early for, or I could,
Meet at the airport.
meet at the airport
Mhm.
or nearby, Uber to a coffee shop or a restaurant. And that's how I literally think this way, because part of our ministry, there's travel involved.
Mhm.
So like I was in Colorado last month. I
Mhm.
went to a baseball card shop and I top golfed with my friend
Mhm.
who was in our wedding, and we practically cried from laughing so hard. It's just, he's one of my buddies. We laugh hard together.
Yeah.
And the in July, we'll be in California for the Young Adults Today SoCal Leader Conference
Mhm.
on the West Coast. So we're going to Disneyland and bringing the girls.
Mhm.
We're making the most out of it. I'm going to go to a baseball game with a friend who has tickets.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
so I think that's like, Paul writes in the verse of the day, Ephesians 5:15-17, make the most
Mhm.
of every opportunity.
Mhm.
So I think when you plan on it,
Mhm.
or in the church world, sometimes we're great at promoting events. Where we could grow is telling the testimonies and sharing the
Yeah.
amazing stories of what God's doing.
Mhm.
And that's how you enjoy something
Mhm.
3 times, is you plan it and
Yeah.
you think, okay, what would make this fun or a win 2.0, fun 2.0 or a win 2.0. But then you actually have the event, or you do the thing you were looking forward to,
Mhm.
but then you reflect on it, share the stories,
Yeah.
share the testimonies, journal the memories, and you'll enjoy it 3 times as many or 3 times as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And I think the third thing I had written down is invite God. Like, you want God to be a part of the adventure, then invite him into it. I think so many times, like, we want an adventurous life, and everybody else is living, and I feel like I'm
Mhm.
belly flopping every day. Well, here's the deal. Did you invite God in your day? Did you invite him into the adventure that you
Okay.
long for? Because if you want it to be wild and you want to be an adventure and you want to be blessed by God, then you need to invite him.
Mhm.
And I think so. I wrote down, Lord, decrease my fear of the wild adventures, because
Wow.
you never know what his response might be, right? And increase my curiosity, decrease my fear and increase my curiosity. Okay, Lord, you're in control of my calendar for the month of July. I have my staple things that I know are coming. You can have a divine delay and interrupt them. And we always have our goals. So our things are set on the calendar of who we're going to reach out to, what we're going to do, what we have planned. We hold it loosely because he can uproot it at any moment.
Mhm.
But I want God to decrease my fear of everyday living and the scarce mentality mindset that so like slows people down, and fear of failure that
Ooh,
seems to like
that's
grasp
phenomenal.
our souls. Oh my gosh, let's uproot that fear and replace it with the curiosity of what God has. And then when you hear the curiosity element and aspect, lean into it so you can experience it, because there's nothing more frustrating is when Josiah just alluded to, we're great at promoting something. And then I see it after it happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I know about it beforehand? If I would have known,
Yep.
I would have engaged in it. And I think that's the same within God. If you're a Christ follower, you know God, then start engaging with him. Because you should know that you need to engage with him in everyday living if you want to live the full life that he has for you.
Mhm.
And I think so many times we get in this poverty stricken mindset of like, oh, well, if I had money, or when I have money, or if I was married, or when I have more friends. Okay, start building the life you want now, so you start living a life later that people are going to be a part of. And I think, what's his name? Dave Ramsey says that in financial world, similar to that. But it's like you get to craft the world, that you get to craft the world around you to a certain level. And you have the power to, who are my friends? You didn't get to choose your family, but how am I engaging with them? Where am I going to school? What's my occupation? How am I earning money? Where do I get to travel? Is travel a thing? What do I like to do? And I would just pray that God would awaken some of those
Mhm.
things inside of you. And if you do not feel awakened in any area of your life, and you feel like you're the couch potato, I would say shut off the TV, get off all devices. I'm not saying delete them, throw them away. I'm just saying get off of them for a week and see how you spend your time in a new way.
Mhm.
because I guarantee, why do people spend $10,000 to go on a beach and sit there and do nothing? They're paying to do nothing in a beautiful location when they have a lake home right there in front of them, but they're drowning in work and they're drowning in social media. They're drowning in whatever. Why do we spend money to relax? Why do we spend money to pull away? Great question.
Well, Terry Newhoff has written on the subject of at your best and burnout and young leaders not burning out.
Yeah.
He's gone through burnout. And so he shares with young leaders, like, here's how to discover your best energy and what you're best at in this book, At Your Best. But we've had him on our other podcasts. And one of the things that he shared in his book that I read, found it phenomenal. He said something to the effect of, if you need a break after you get back from your vacation, or if the vacation didn't help from burnout, the problem wasn't how you spent time when you're off work. It's how you spent time when you were on work.
That's good.
You know, so
That's
just
good.
finding the source, finding the origin. And to your point about fear earlier, I was reminded of the Mark Twain quote that I'm sure we've all heard, or many of us have heard.
Tell me about it.
I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened.
Because we catastrophize everything, or what?
Catastrophize everything. And I think I want to talk for a second to the person who's dealing with fear or a thought life that is overwhelming
Or crippling.
or crippling.
Wow.
And maybe there's anxiety, and maybe there's just unhealthy thoughts. Maybe it's you're thinking about yourself too much, and think about God, think about good things, think about others. I think the other thing is, like, that quote speaks to me, because the things that we live through usually are fears. What they've discovered about fears, researchers will find that most of them are irrational. Most of the things that we're afraid of never turn out as bad as we imagine.
Or they never happen.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's catastrophizing. It's going to the worst case possible scenario. Oh, catastrophe. And sometimes it's freed me to think, what's the worst that could happen? Okay. And make peace with it. Because then you can ask, what's the best that could happen? Because some people are like, well, what could go wrong? Turn it on its head.
What could go right?
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo. What could go right?
Wow. That's so good. That's a great thing to leave us on and the listener on. And there was something that I don't remember who said, make peace with imperfection.
Yeah.
And guess what? We serve a perfect God, but we are imperfect. We are imperfect humans, but there is a peace that comes along in the journey with God. And there is a peace, like as the deer panteth for the water, like you're sitting by the streams of living water are available to us each and every single day. And maybe a wild adventure for you is literally to put a blanket out in a park and read a book for a day.
Look at the sky.
Wow.
Look at the stars.
Or start asking more. I would say this. We have kids now. So I've always thought like this, but now I feel like I'm discovering the childlike spirit inside of me of like, okay, I'm going to sit outside and we're going to look at the stars and we're going to understand the constellations. And like, it makes you feel so small in comparison to like who and how God created us. You start asking questions and start finding answers in things that interest you. We have daughters, and our younger one, I don't know, our first one did not go through this, but our second one's, oh, why? Why? She's not even 2 yet. And that's her favorite question right now is, why, mama? Why, mama? And I always have the answer? No, but I say, like, let's figure this out together. Yeah. Oh, why, mama? And then you get to explain. And we serve a God. When you're asking the question, why do I not experience wild adventures? Where am I falling short? When you start asking God the whys, he will start answering. And my prayer for you is, as summer continues and kicks off for some of you, as you're wrapping up the final summer school classes, maybe that you're taking, or you're kind of landing where God is going to plant you for the next 2-3 months, just really lean into, okay, Lord, what does a wild adventure with you look like? And I want to invite you in on that process. So hopefully that encourages you, Howard. We know your heart, and we know that you're a phenomenal person, and you've been fun to kind of get to know these last year or two that we've been able to see you at events and everything. So what do you want to leave them with, Josiah?
Good
word of encouragement.
It's a good life. Life is worth living. And the encouragement today that I find is in Ephesians
Mm.
which is worth memorizing. And Ephesians 2:10 is comes right after kind of the honeypot of scripture, which it's not by works that we're saved, but by God's grace, so that nobody can boast. And you're actually God's handiwork, his masterpiece. The Greek is his poema. You're his poem. You're like the greatest creation. And then you know what? You're created to do great things that he's already prepared in advance for you to do. And so unleash that inner greatness. Allow that inner greatness to shine externally.
Yeah.
And you get to lighten up and brighten up the world around you.
Amen.
You're listening to the FYI podcast.